I swear, every time I take out my camera and try to film, the sky suddenly turns dark. I just hope the lighting and everything is okay today. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Casper, the boy diviner, and if you enjoy my content, feel free to click like and subscribe. It really helps me out, and hit the bell icon so that you get alerted every time I, publish a video, and then you can watch all my videos, if you want. Today I wanted to talk about what you do when you actually get a used deck. So it's really different. Sometimes when you get a used deck, it does have some sort of energy to it, and it could be the deck's own energy. I do believe that any kind of reading comes from the divine down into you through the cards. Okay, so that's my view of how a tarot reading works, but I know some people believe that a deck itself has its own energy. I do feel like there are differences, definitely, but whether the reading relies specifically on the deck only, I really don't think so. Used decks have some sort of energy to them, and some of it might not be the best. This is compared to a new deck where there's a totally clean slate. I've done a video on how to prepare your new decks before, so if you want to know, you can check out my video in the upper corner, one of them, and hopefully that will help you out. But today I wanted to talk about used decks. I actually sold a few decks this year because of the decks I'm letting go video. Most of those decks are not for sale anymore. Those that are with me, I kind of feel like it's meant to be. But actually I sold one of my decks to a lovely lady. She was really nice. We met in person, we looked through the cards together, and the cards seemed like they were in good condition, so she took it, went home, and she told me day after day that she's trying to use the deck, but she gets really lightheaded with the deck. She was mentioning that it could be because of my energy on the deck. I don't know if I really subscribe to that sort of thing, because I have gotten used decks before and I've used them to no problem. I gave her some suggestions what she could try to do. I don't know if she has taken any of that. I don't know if she's tried. Some people don't get used decks because they believe things like that happen, and I know of people who enjoy used decks because there's some history behind it. Vintage decks have a beautiful energy to them, even though I own none of that. Recently I got a used deck, and this is the Future Vision Gem Tarot. I talked about this in my previous Decks That Tempt Me. So my friend in Singapore was selling this deck. I think this was one of her first decks, and she stopped using it as much. So I actually thought about how maybe I should film how I prepare this deck for use, because when it's a used deck, I kind of prepare it more than I would with a blank slate. So I think the first thing we want to do is cut cords. There are many different ways of cutting cords between an item with its previous owner. So I guess some of you can use the wands that you have in this, or if you have an FMA, you can use the FMA. In my case, I use this letter opener that I bought from Etsy. It's sort of like what I use for FMAing. In the 6 ways, you use implement with iron, and you actually scrape yourself to remove energy, and I basically use this over the deck when I received it. So I kind of just cut it all around. So that's the first thing I did. Some people cut cords using a candle, a lit candle, and they actually just kind of put the item over the lit candle and say things like, remove the cords, there are no more cords with you and your previous owner. I've also learned some energy work to banish this kind of cords, I guess, or negative attachments if there are. Not that my friend is negative, you know what I'm trying to say. But I didn't do that because I didn't feel like it had so much connection. As usual, I'm not a person that really feels a lot right now. So maybe for that lady, she's really sensitive. Any case, that's the first thing I would do. I'll cut cords on the card from the previous owner using implement or using fire. Not literally burning the cards, but like just running it over the flame. I think that kind of makes sense, because the next step would be to clear its energy. There are many ways to clear energy. I feel like you can Google online and people are telling you, you can just imagine white light. I don't know. So it really depends on you and your practice if you do that. For me, I used sage, so I burnt sage and I brought each card over one by one. On top of that, I also left each card in the direct sun for at least a few minutes. Some people say, putting your deck in direct sunlight is to charge the deck. I kind of feel like sunlight is more than just a charger. I don't feel like it charges. I feel like it's more of a cleansing kind of agent or a cutting kind of agent. So it really depends on your personal practice. But what I did was to leave the cards in the sun, and then I saged them one by one. So I left the cards exposed one by one. I saged them one by one. Other things you can try doing is doing some banishing spells or clearing spells. So one of the ones I learned from Chaos Protocols was Hekas Hekas Este Bebeloi. And you imagine from your hands some sort of wind, and you blow off all the debris that you can see or imagine on the deck away and out from your room, out of the window. So if you have a porch, you should do that outside. So Hekas, este babyloy. You just imagine. Okay, so I'm cleansing my camera right now. But you just imagine that and then you let it out of the room. So that's something you can try. I don't know if it works. It's something I do because the Chaos Protocols talked about it and I found it quite interesting. So like I mentioned, some people also imagine white light. Some people leave it in the moonlight. I feel like moonlight is more of a charging agent, but I'm not super in tune with the moon. Plus it's so hard to find direct moonlight. Singapore is such a light polluted country, so it's hard to tell. I don't do any moon kind of stuff in Singapore. I know a lot of Singaporean witches do moon water and things like that. A lot of my friends do. I just don't really particularly believe in it because I don't feel like because of the light pollution that most of the light that touches my water is moon light. Whether that matters or not, maybe it doesn't. Okay, so that's just my little side note there. I also put selenite and tourmaline on the cards or near the cards when I can. Selenite is a good cleansing. I used to use this instead of my ethame to cleanse myself like this, and I feel like the tourmaline kind of banishes the bad juju. Some people imagine energy going into the crystals, it sucking it up. I don't like that imagery. I try to imagine this as more of a repeller of bad energy so that the little crystal wouldn't be so filled with bad energy. I don't believe that. So I imagine it repelling away energy, and I put this, on top of the deck, for example. I put it on top of the deck. The next thing you want to do, and not everyone does this, is to do the regular preparation you have. What I usually do with my clean slate cards is just running sage, which is to cleanse it very gently instead of, putting it over the sun, cutting cords, making a spell. No, I just do a simple cleansing and then I attune it to myself, or I consecrate it. Okay, I prefer the word consecrate. So when you consecrate a deck, it's to really make the tool meant for you. This could be the reason why that lady might have felt like my energy with those cards was strong, even though I barely use them. I use them like maybe twice. Is that each card goes through incense and I say a mantra. The mantra I usually say is Namo Guansin Pusa. So that is to Guan Yin, that is to Guan Yin Pusa, so that she can bless the cards through me, for me, and I'm just relying on her power for that. So when I'm doing it one card by one card, I am looking at the card, trying to think about, okay, this is the card for me, this is the card for this deck, and this is for me, this is for me. So that's one way for you to attune it, is through incense smoke. Some people feel like the ball of white light thing not only cleanses, but also charges the deck with your energy, so that's enough. You can try many different things. Another thing I also do is to make the card personalized to me, so I etched this deck. This deck actually came with a pink sparkly edge, and it did stain the fronts and backs of the cards, which I don't really enjoy as much. So I kind of re-etched it, but those that stain the cards, I can't change that. I don't know if you can see that pink edge. So I re-etched the cards in black, and you can still see some of the sparkle through, and the black is still running all over my fingers as I use it, but I'm just gonna let it dry as much as possible. You can see this is what happens when you edge a deck. Okay, gross, I know. You might have seen this while I was doing the clearing. Okay, it's not imagination, it's not like really bad energy, it's just ink. So that's something you can do, is to edge each card and maybe think about it mindfully. If you're doing it while watching something, it's fine. That when you're doing something so personal to your deck, you're kind of making it yours. Once you're done with that, maybe it's good to do a reading to see what's going on with you and their energy. So I would probably do a spread like, what do you learn from your previous owner? Do I need to be concerned about your previous owner? How do you feel about me? Can we work together? Or what's the product of us working together? So it's not only an interview spread for a new deck where you find out how they're gonna work with you. You're gonna ask them how they feel about being used by someone new when they had such history with someone else. I don't have like a specific spread for that. Let me know if you want a specific spread for that. I can always do one. I actually did farewell spreads for decks, and if I can find the image, I'll put it up here, or else it's really buried deep in my Instagram feed, which is @boydiviner. So this was a really short video about preparing used decks for your own use. I hope this makes sense. Once my deck dries, on the edges, I might do a spread that I'm talking about. Let me know if you want to hear it in person and I talk it out through a camera, or let me know if you want to see an image. I can definitely make an image and put it on my Instagram, okay? Comment, talk to me, click the like button, support me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Okay, you guys have a great rest of the day. You take care. Bye!